All right, everyone, welcome to the official first episode of the Shutdown Stories. I'm here with my good friend and old boss, Brian Bonn. Brian is the athletic director at Valor Christian High School in Denver, Colorado. And Brian, this has obviously hit you pretty hard from a couple different directions. I mean, not only from your position as AD with all spring sports shutting down and the Final Four for girls and boys hoops getting shut down before both our teams could play, but also from a teacher standpoint, just being around a school that's been going to online classes now.
Yeah, unique to say the least, and we're taking every day with just a one step forward. You're absolutely right. In a 72-hour window, we had a boys hockey state championship at the Pepsi Center with a complete filled room or filled atmosphere, I guess. To the next night, our girls basketball team losing in the Final Four to Grandview with no fans in the stands aside from immediate family members. Then to finally our boys basketball team who got the phone call that morning that they wouldn't be playing in the Final Four game at the Coliseum. So in a 72-hour window, we basically saw normal to not really normal to complete shutdown, and our teams just being devastated, obviously, with not knowing how their season could have ended. From a school perspective, we are going to complete online classes, which is something we've never done at Valor Christian High School. But our team has done an unbelievable job of being prepared. Our teachers are all ready to go, and today is day one of online classes. And I'm sure there's hiccups, but man, I think we are such a highly relational school that our kids are excited to get back with the teachers and be in a relationship with them. And our teachers actually are pretty eager to get back in relationship with those kids as well. It's something that one of the reasons I think teachers decide to come to Valor Christian High School is the highly relational atmosphere that we create. Now, trying to make it go online and make it feel the same way is completely different, but something that I think all teachers want to say that they were a part of this, because this will be a staple in the world. This will be a part of history books sometime down the line, and our teachers diving into something brand new and trying to make it unique, different, and encouraging, I think is something that we'll all look back on and go, man, am I glad that I was a part of something like this.
You mentioned that 72-hour window, and I think you made a great point by saying this is something that will be in history books, because you think about just the major world events that have happened even just in this century. I mean, I remember where I was for 9/11, which is obviously the first time anything like that has happened on American soil, and a few years later it was already in history books. But for this, in that 72-hour window, do you remember what you were doing and where you were when you got that call and the news started to trickle down?
Oh man, I was at all of the sporting events, to be honest with you. It was like the longest 72 hours uh, of my AD career. I literally was going from work to driving downtown to the Pepsi Center to sleeping real fast to going back to work and then driving to the Coliseum. Yeah, I remember every step of the way, but the moment that I remember really when things were going to transform, our girls had just lost at the Coliseum. Broken hearts, obviously, a really, really unbelievable year that they had. But I saw Ryan Casey, who was the Chassa Now writer, kind of the state writer for all sports, and he flew out of the Coliseum, and I grabbed him real quick and just said, "We okay? Everything looking good for tomorrow? Want to pass along any information?" And he said, "Things will change every hour moving forward from here." And it was probably 9:30 p.m. when I had talked to him. So I called our boys coach and just said, "Hey, I want you to be prepared. I don't have anything set in stone yet, but what I can tell you is things are going to change and things are going to look different. I'd be ready to possibly play a 9 a.m. game tomorrow." And we were supposed to play at 8 p.m. the next
Oh
night.
gosh.
And I was like, and I would just say you're on call every single hour. And by 11 p.m. that night, I think Chassa had made the decision that no games would be played the next morning. And we were ready. We communicated well. Our family's obviously devastated, but I'll never forget when I saw Ryan Casey run out of the Coliseum the way that he did. Pretty athletic, by the way. But yeah, you could see the panic, and I think that's what this has created. It's created a lot of panic across the United States, and obviously for the sports world, chaos is all that we're enduring at this point.
You mentioned talking to Coach Cool, head of your boys program, saying, "Hey, be on call no matter what." He's been everywhere in his career. I mean, from the Air Force Academy to high school level here and now in California. What was his reaction to that news when you told him that he basically just needed to be ready?
Yeah, he's a professional, you know. So when I had a chance to talk to him, he was basically saying, "Hey, I've talked to a few other states. Here's what's happening. Obviously, what the president's saying right now is not very good." And he was like, "I don't see how this could go on tomorrow." But we didn't want to take that approach. We didn't want to take the approach of let's plan on it not happening. We wanted to take the approach of let's be ready. Let's make sure the kids are getting good meals into their body, that they're prepared to be at Valor for a game tomorrow. But if we heard other news, that we would be prepared to tell them that there wasn't a season left to be played. And so we had kind of an option A and option B ready to be communicated to our families. And truly, AJ did a great job of handling it with calm, poise, demeanor for our families, so that no matter what information we were passing, he was prepared to handle it or pass down the information appropriately to our families. And again, he's such a professional. I think the Air Force prepared him overly well for a time such as this.
Yeah, definitely. So you went from dealing with coaches who had either just finished their season in the case of boys ice hockey and girls basketball, obviously a couple different finishes there, to a team that had their season cut short when they had a chance to make a championship run. And then you had to go on and talk to spring coaches. I mean, you have track and field for boys and girls, you have girls soccer, you have baseball. What were those conversations like with those coaches basically saying, "Hey, I don't think we're going to have a season for you guys"?
Yeah, so that day where girls basketball had played their Final Four game during the daytime, I was calling the spring sport coaches into my office to have group meetings together to basically say, there are two things that are going to happen here. We're going to be able to play a week of our season and the season's going to be canceled, or they're going to make the decision to cancel the season now. And they were kind of taken back on, whoa, the whole season could be shut down? Yeah, the whole season could be shut down. This thing is serious. And we started having meetings pretty early on, just to say, early on in that week, basically saying, let's be prepared that we're going to be ready to play games, which the day that they made the announcement that the season would be postponed anyway, we had a girls lacrosse game, we had a boys lacrosse game, we had a girls soccer game, and we had a track meet the next day. And for them to go, Brian, we got to make a call. We got to make a call. We got to let our families know what we're going to do. And my hope was, let's get the kids on the field. Let's try to have a season or try to get a game in. That was my initial reaction. And their initial reaction was, yeah, let's let them play. And the more I started to learn about it from CHSAA, the more worried I got. Why would we put them in front of 30 other kids or 50 other kids, or depending on what sporting event you're talking about? Why would we expose them to more kids and more families when we know that this thing is going to be able to transfer to another person very, very easily? And after talking with Rhonda, the commissioner of CHSAA, she gave me some pretty good insight to say, I would not recommend playing games, even if you're able to. And just like scripture says for us, we very much are going to follow our governed laws. And hearing it from CHSAA, who is our governed body, we were pretty quick to say, if she's saying that that's not a very comfortable thing to do, we're going to shut this thing down and let kids know that we love them too much to put them on the field, versus what we would usually say, which is, we love you so much, we're going to put you on the field.
Yeah.
And, again, unique unique times, to say the least.
So what does your day kind of look like now? I mean, obviously, in a normal spring season, your job as athletic director is to be communicating with the coaches, helping them out, whatever they need, communicating with scheduling, moving into the future. What is a lost season for an entire season of sports across the board really change for you?
Well, I mentioned it earlier that our job is really to be highly relational with these kids.
Hmm.
Getting on the field and letting them play the sport they love is always part two to the algorithm that we put together for athletics. So for us, we really wanted to figure out how to create a season that wasn't lost. So our guys, our coaches, both female and male coaches, are spending time on Zoom, doing big group conversations and keeping discussions moving on. Our performance team is still sending out weekly emails with workouts that you can do from home. We're even doing Instagram 1 hour workouts Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So we don't consider this a lost season. We consider it something different for sure. But we are trying to love kids unconditionally through this when we believe they need us the most. Coaches aren't there just to win and lose games. Coaches are there to mentor kids through their life. We consider this chapter 4 of their life, and it's a very small chapter of their life, but one of the most important ones where their emotions are high and low and somewhere in between, and you don't know what you're going to get each day that you're with them. But if we have coaches that are loving them through this process, they're going to ask difficult questions. They're going to ask things that you usually don't get to answer while you're on the field. You usually get to answer them off the field. So you get a ton more time with them off the field during this. And whether it's individual meetings that are happening, whether it's group discussions that are happening, or whether it's an entire team meeting that is happening, our coaches have a lot more time to pour in. And then part two, what am I doing? I'm making sure our coaches are prepared to answer the questions. And that's only one small chunk of what I'm doing. But the second part to that is, what are we doing well that we can institute now? We have different type of time on our hands now, where we can add a lot more Zoom conversations and pick up on some topics that we haven't been able to get to because they're on the back burner because we usually are so busy and running rampant. So one of the topics right now is a Hall of Fame. How do you institute a Hall of Fame right now while we have some downtime and put some rules and regulations around it, start calling some alumni and figuring out what we need to be thinking about for our Hall of Fame. And then, of course, putting the right people in the room so that we have a governed body around it so that when we do introduce the Hall of Fame, there's people that are brand new to our school, coaches that are brand new, and then coaches that have been here since inception that can give great life around the conversation to make it as powerful as it could possibly be. But I think the final thing that I'm doing that is probably one of the coolest things is, how do you get rid of things that you've been doing for a long time within athletics that you don't need to be doing anymore? We're finding out really quickly that we need to advance ourselves. We need to get out of the old and get into the new. This coronavirus, while is devastating to the world in deaths and health and things of that nature, it has given us a great opportunity to look inward and be able to say, how can we pour better life into people? What are we doing that we can throw away right now so that we open some more time up to be able to devote to new ideas, new opportunities that would make us a even more advanced school than we already are right now. So that's where I'm kind of diving as the athletic director and making sure that we are doing the best possible job that we can do so that our students feel loved, so that we're putting the best product out there available. And lastly, that we would be pursuing our mission and vision on a daily basis.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, it sounds like you are doing all you can in this just wild position that you got put in. I can't thank you enough for coming on and giving me some of your time. I know everybody's got kind of a crazy story through all this happening, and I'm really grateful to have heard yours.
Yeah, I'm thankful you brought me on, Nate. And obviously, you're a part of this story, which makes it pretty fun. The fact that you're a Valor grad, the fact that you have worked at Valor, You have made a great impact into our community, and this story is just as much yours as it is mine. So thankful for all you've done for Valor Christian High School.
Thanks, man.